Good afternoon, geometry, period 1, 6, and 7. You can guess who this is, and you can guess where I'm at. But it's Friday. It's the 15th of May. Isn't that fantastic? All right. Some of you, in fact, most of you are getting through this chapter 9 thing, and you've encountered these things called check for comprehension. There's two of them out there, okay? One of them has to do with the perimeter of a rectangle, and one of them has to do with Super Dave Osborne throwing pianos. So I would like to walk through an example of how to do each one of those. So let's start with a rectangle. Let's start with a tabletop, okay? All right. Algebra 1, check for comprehension 1, and check for comprehension 2. These are practice problems, okay? Now, the word problem states that you've got a table. And it gives you the dimensions of the table. It tells you the length, and it tells you the width, and it tells you the area. I highly encourage you to draw a picture, okay? Now, the way my problem would read, it's, Bob has a table. It's 3x plus 5 halves long and 2x wide, has an area of 116 square inches. All right? That's how the problem would read. That's the picture I drew from looking at the words. All right? Now, how do you find the area of a rectangle? When the area of a rectangle is length times width. In other words, 2x times 3x plus 5 halves. And oh, by the way, this is in inches. Okay? All right. So, let's do it. 116 is equal to 2x times 3x plus 5 halves. Clean it up. 116 is equal to, distribute, 6x squared plus 5x. Notice that the 2's cancel. Okay? Now set it equal to 0, and now we're going to solve it. Okay? Now I'm going to choose to use the quadratic formula, and I'm going to identify A to be 6, B to be 5, and C to be negative 116. Okay? Then I'm going to take those values, I'm going to plug it into my quadratic formula. I didn't write it down for you today because you already know it, right? X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You've got that, all right? Okay, you plug your values in, and this is what you get. You get x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 2,809 all divided by 12. Now, I do apologize for picking the square root of 2,809. The square root of 2,809 happens to be 53. It's very difficult to factor 2809 because 53 is prime, okay? Anyway, if you say that x is now equal to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 53 over 12, obviously it cannot be a negative 58 over 12, so I'm only going to take the positive side of that. X is equal to negative 5 plus 53 over 12, x is equal to 48 over 12, or x is equal to 4. Okay? There's your x value. Now, when you do that CFC, I want to see your x value. Okay? And I'd better see that kind of work, or factoring, or completing the square. I really don't care, but I want to see how you get your x. Okay? So now they know what x is, I can plug that in. 3 times 4 plus 5 halves, 2 times 4, 3 times 4 plus 5 halves, and 2 plus 4. You add all that mess up, and the perimeter of this thing is 45 inches. I really should have put inches on there, okay? That's how you do CFC 1. Now let's look at CFC 2. CFC 2. I've got Super Dave Osborne. Look at that artistic rendition of Super Dave Osborne throwing a piano. See? Isn't that great? Now, Super Dave Osborne is standing atop of a 144-foot building. Okay? And he's going to throw this piano up at 160 feet per second. That's going to be the initial velocity, 160 feet per second, and the initial height of the piano when it leaves Super Dave Osborne's mighty grip is 144 feet. Okay? Now, there's the equation. H sub t, the height after some time t, can be modeled by the equation negative 16t squared plus v sub naught t plus s sub naught, where v sub naught t is the initial velocity and s sub naught is the initial height. Now, I give you all of that. All you have to do is pluck it and plug it. All right, so if you pluck and plug, you get h sub t is equal to negative 16t squared plus 160t plus 144. Let's make sure we understand where I got that. 160, initial velocity. 144, initial height. There it is, okay? Now, see that little dot right there? That would be the vertex of this parabola. That's the maximum height after some time t. This bottom axis is t, okay? That's what we got, right? H sub t, okay? T, H. All right, so the maximum height. We need the vertex. To get the vertex, we need the axis of symmetry, all right? Negative b over 2a, negative 160 over negative 16 times 2, negative 32. Hey, look at that, x is 5. Doesn't that clean up pretty? Yours is not quite that pretty. Anyway, so after 5 seconds, bang, okay? Now, I have to be careful how I say that because this curve actually comes down below this, doesn't it? It's some negative time. Anyway, if I take the 5 and I plug it back into my equation, the maximum height that my piano, actually Super Dave's piano, will reach is 544 feet. And that's how that 5 gets plugged in. Negative 16 times 5 squared plus 160 times 5 plus 144. Whiz bang it, and you get a height of 544 feet. Okay? Now, this is what I really want to know. I want to know how long before the last note, okay, when that piano smacks the ground. Well, when a piano smacks the ground, how high above the ground do you suppose the piano's going to be before the bounce? All right? 0. So you're going to take your equation, you're going to set it equal to 0. All right? Now, to clean it all up, divide by 16. Now, notice I was kind. I had a moment of weakness. I know. And I give you guys all numbers that were divisible by 16. Okay? It will not always be that way, so be careful. I know I'm giving you this giant sense of false hope here. But anyway, if you divide it all by 16, you get 0 is equal to negative t squared plus 10t plus 9. I don't like my lead to be negative, so I'm going to flip it all around by multiplying everything by negative 1. And then I'm going to make my a equal 1, b is equal to negative 10, and c is equal to 9, or negative 9. You plug all that into the quadratic formula, and you get t is equal to 10 plus or minus the square root of 136 over 2. Well, obviously, the square root of 136 is bigger than 10, so you're only taking the positive side of this. All right, so I whiz-bang this. T is equal to 10 plus 11.66 divided by 2. 21.66 divided by 2 is 10.83 seconds. So in 10.83 seconds, that piano, after Super Dave Osborne hurls it in the air, is going to play its last note. Okay? It will have reached a height of 544 feet, and it will land 10.83 seconds later. All right? So that's your CFC number 2. All right. Now, if you watch this, and if you do the problems as you're watching this, you will get the answers right, okay? I have confidence in your abilities to complete this task. All right, so let's get this Chapter 9 wrapped up. I am going to post some stuff out there for Chapter 10. You'll see that in plan books starting on Monday. But I want to get Chapter 9 wrapped up. I really, really do. Get these CFCs done. And then I've got to get some kind of a Chapter 9 test going also before we get too excited. All right, well, that's all I got for you. Have a great weekend, and Maze is out.